Hey, I'm glad everybody come. We got a lot of questions. Everybody does, including me. We have done. What's got to happen here today? Everybody can't talk at once. We can't have any side conversations going over here. The acoustics in here is horrible. And everybody's got a lot of questions. And I think when Joel gets done talking, he will answer 99% of our questions. He is the man that's the insurance adjuster. This is Joel. He works for Joel. What's his last name, Joel?
My name is Joel Fisher. I work for ICA Insurance
Adjustment Firm. This is Roe. Roe is working for Belfour. He's the guy that I coordinate with, and he does with Joel. So any of them can answer about any questions you have. I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet because the longer we have him here, the less time he has out here to do his stuff. If we stay here 4 hours, we're losing 4 hours of him doing what he needs to do to get us back from where we need to be. We've done a lot of work. Got a lot more to go. Well, everybody read the email that went out. That basically says about what happened, how we contacted him, and he contacted me. And this plan fell together better. We had people on the ground putting shutter tarps on it in 30 hours. Pretty good. We were the first complex with a 20-mile radius that had people on the ground. So that's another good thing. And we got them early, and that helped us to get the work done quick. We got them locked down their hours. And I have no regrets. Everything just went perfectly. Everybody's helped, cooperated. You guys, with that being said, you want to say anything? Well, let me let Joel, because I figure he'll have most of it. Go ahead, Joel. Let me tell you a little bit about Joel. Joel done the BP oil spill, the appraiser. He done 9/11 appraiser. So,
I started 31 years ago, just so everybody knows. So I've been to every hurricane in the last 30 years. So I got a little bit of experience doing this kind of thing. So I hope I can answer your questions here today. No rioting and no civil commotion, though. If everybody will please do that. We've got enough of that in this country. I'm hoping at the end of this day that your questions will be answered. If not, we're going to have a format for you to do that.
Yes.
And I'm going to ask a couple things of everybody at the end of this, too, to be able to tell us what's going on in your unit without it overwhelming us, because we're just a few guys with a whole lot of stuff to do here. So my job is to come in, obviously, to assess the damage, find out what it is, and ultimately to give these guys the money, this gentleman over here the money to make the repairs. The question is always on one of these is who owns what when you're talking about condominium units. And I spent 4 hours the other night reading every document, and they're confusing. I'm going to be honest with you, they're very confusing because some of them are older documents, some are newer. There are guiding principles, what they call guiding principles for us. And can everyone hear it, by the way? Okay, good deal. So the bottom line is that in the state of Alabama, it's not like the state of Florida, but in the state of Alabama, the way that condominium units make things happen is if this were your unit right here, what you would own would be anything that you put in it. And that would be your contents, and if you put a new floor in it, a different floor, if you put a different countertop, something like that, that's all you guys technically own under their HOA document, and then the guiding principles of the insurance policy itself. And so it complicates things because we've got a couple units, and I'm not sure if the person's in here or not, where the unit's been gutted, completely gutted already, and everything is gone, and we never saw it. It complicates things because I don't know what was really damaged there. I don't know what wasn't, and we now have to figure that out. I'm hopeful that whoever did that, including the people that gutted it, took a bunch of photographs for us. And that's the first thing I'll tell all of you, is that in something like this, take some photographs of your damage and make sure that, not just for me and not just for you guys, but for your insurance adjuster who's going to be coming as well. And we'll talk about your adjuster in a minute as well. I'm going to try to help you guys with that, even though that's not really my place. But I think it'll help all of us if I'm able to do that for you. This policy is going to cover Everything from the floor to the ceiling to the outside walls to the building itself. And the biggest question all of you guys are going to have is who's going to do that? Who is going to fix what's wrong in my unit? I think that's what probably all of you are asking is how do I get it fixed? Even if you've got just some small areas or some mold that's growing, because I'm sure that at this point, after 8, 9 days now, that everybody's probably starting to see that or smell it, and it's a concern. He, like I said it earlier, is just one man with a crew, as many guys as he could get here, and we can't get to every unit. We just can't get to every unit in this complex. So some of this stuff might come down to people like yourself in the end here, who can help us with that. And the way that I'm going to ask you guys to help us do that is on a piece of paper. We're going to have a box in here. Is to go back to your unit and write down unit number, building P3. And this is my, in my unit, my living room has got, sagging ceiling. It's got wet walls. It's got a window that popped in and we had to fix it. Anything and everything you can think of that is damaged or was damaged that you've kind of fixed already, move back into place. Write it down for us. And just go from room to room. Living room, bedroom, bathroom 2. However that is that you guys want to write that out for us. Bring it back on your piece of paper and put it in the box once you're comfortable and you have everything written down on it. Not everybody's here, obviously. We have a lot of units where people don't live here. They haven't been here yet. And so that complicates it for us. But this will help us understand a couple of things. It'll help us understand the severity of units, which he and I were talking about this morning. If you've got a few spots and a few this and a few that, we're going to be coming through here in the next few weeks looking at all that stuff. But severity is something that we always look at. And we want to get to those units like you guys told us that your unit is probably in need of gutting.
Yeah, they said it was total.
Yeah. And so every room in their unit has issues and mold and things falling in, and it's nasty. And so it's a severity issue. We're going to mark them from 5 to 1 on who needs a drywall repair. Look at this room. This room has damage up on the ceiling, all along the walls over here. You probably don't know it, but I already scoped this room. The back wall back here has got damage. There's damage to some windows, some glass is broken, just a bunch of different things. This room is livable. This is going to be on our severity level of a 1. That will come back at the end of the day, and we're going to fix this, at the very end of this, because there are other people that are 4s and 5s that have places that are unlivable or difficult living. And so our job is going to be at this point, because the next big question you're going to have is when will my contractor come here and fix it, and who is my contractor, and what am I allowed to do, and how am I allowed to do that, since you guys are telling me that we being the HOA, owns everything. So how do we touch it? This morning, these guys gave me a good glimpse into what you might be being told by your insurance company. They told me that their insurance guy said he was going to cover all the paint, the carpet, the floors, the walls, the cabinets, everything. And I don't think he honestly knows what he owns and what he doesn't own. And when he finds out, his information to them is going to change. This has happened. I cannot tell you guys how many times I was here for Hurricane Ivan, just so you guys will know. 11 months. I stayed in a little basement in Mobile, Alabama. It was terrible, by the way. And I did nothing but condominium units on the coast of Alabama and Florida. That's all I did. And it's complicated for you guys. It's complicated for us. So I'm hopeful that by the end of today, you'll have a better idea of what to tell your adjuster when he comes to your house. Because you need to know the rules too. This is your property. And you guys bought it, and you need to know the rules too to tell them. Now, he's got HOA. Does everybody here have a copy of their HOA guidelines, HOA rules?
I think we send them out to everybody, if they've got them or not. I think you're supposed to send a copy of the insurance policy to everybody. But a lot of your insurances want a copy of their policy so they can repair it.
Your adjuster needs to get a copy of your policy, which he should have, but if not, you need to get a copy of the HOA policy and the HOA guidelines so that they don't make the same mistake going down the road with all you guys, and you're thinking, I don't need these guys. I'm just going to go and gut this place and get done with it. There's a risk in doing that. You can do it if you have deep pockets and all that and you want to get it done. You can absolutely do that. But there'll be a risk in doing that for you. What we're hopeful to do to kind of shorten this up is that if we were able to look at this on an HOA to a you guys basis, just that alone, right there, is that let's just say we wrote your unit and we wrote $25,000 to fix your unit, because it's severe, or 30, 50, whatever it might be. We're hopeful that if you could come to us and say, we have a contractor we want to use, and he's willing to come out here and do this, and we're going to tell you that, yeah, we have $50,000 written for the inside of that building, but there's going to be a document that would have to be signed between you and us that says that this is what money that we have. We're going to give it to you guys just like we would do it from an insurance company. You'd get 50% of it until it's halfway done, 50% of it when it's complete. Okay? That's an option. That's an extreme option, by the way, because you guys are all going to have the same problem we have, and that is finding a contractor. Especially ones that are willing to take on smaller jobs right now. In 6 months, a year from now, all these guys are going to be done with their big stuff, and they're going to be wanting these little jobs. I've been begging him to talk to his command about getting the ability to do all of these units, if you're willing to do that. Because they have the resources, they have the ability to do that. Once again, we're kind of limited to what we can do because we have to put it back the way it was. There's another problem that we're all going to run into on this at the end of this, and that is what a perfect opportunity to put in my granite countertops, or to put in my new flooring that I want in my tile floors, the things that I want to do, right? When your carpet's nasty, and I don't know how many people in here have carpet that got wet and that has to come out and it's nasty, but we'll assess that, we'll find out, and we're going to do that. But there's a whole overlap of things that are going to happen in this that complicate things. For me, it's simpler, and I'll explain the reason why it's simpler. This room is what it is. This room is no different than your unit. It is what it is. And so when we go into it, we're going to write it for what the HOA document says. The HOA document says that I have to put this room back to how it was in 1996. That's what it says. It doesn't matter what's in there, what the floor is like, any of that kind of stuff. It does not matter to us. So for us, it's simple. If this is a $5,000 repair in this room, it is a $5,000 repair to put it back to 1996. Now, it may have, if this were your room, it may have a tile floor in it. And the difference between carpet and the difference between tile is the difference your insurance company is responsible for. You guys can see kind of the complications in this, right? Especially if your adjuster's not informed from the beginning. The cart before the horse has always been the issue, because your adjuster will come in and he's going to write your estimate before we will. Does that make sense? He's coming in already on you guys, and he's going to write something. And you're going to look at it, you're going to go, woo, all right, we got our numbers, let's get going. That's not what it is. It complicates things because I've got 6 to 8 weeks to complete 168 interior units and 24 buildings.
Yes.
Inside and outside. That's what my goal is, in 8 weeks, to be able to get to you guys the information that you need. You can't wait 8 weeks. Some of you can't. Some of you can. Here's how we're going to help you guys. We have to have organization in what we're doing. We can't just go from building A to building P to this, to that, to this, to that. We just can't do that. We'll get lost in the process. It's not possible for us to put together that package in 8 weeks if we do it like that. So we're going to start on building A and go through building U. I think it's U is the last building over here, correct? And his team is going to work with my team. What's that? Those of you in A, thumbs up, right? But it's all we can do. We're going to talk a little bit more about severity when we get these documents from you guys. When you give us this, when it comes back and it says all of our rooms have mold in it, all of them are in it, we're going to talk about a supplement unit that we're going to have going into some of these more severe units ahead of what our team is going to be doing to help you guys, okay? But you guys can see the complications that it is for us as well as for you. We want to help everybody here. And we just need your help in advising us. So we're going to start in A. We're going to do that. These guys, when we go into A, I want you to picture this room again being your room. I've got a piece of moldy drywall right here underneath the window. And I've got this up here that's water spotted, but it doesn't have mold on it. The severity in this one would be a 1. And that's how we'll treat this room. If we had mold on this wall, this policy doesn't cover mold. This policy, like every policy in the state of Alabama, Florida, and all other 48 contiguous states, does not cover mold unless you buy coverage for it. Your policy most likely does not cover mold. You'll need to read it and be careful and understand it.
That's the reason we don't have mold. We got water damage.
Every unit here has water damage because when I see mold over here, I'm going to treat it like water damage. I can't do PPEs and I can't do all the fog and face gear and all the stuff that typically happens. And he understands this well. Their company, they have people they have to protect. And so there's a gap between that because you don't want people in there playing with black mold that don't have things on. So there's a cost to them. And typically we wouldn't be able to cover that. But everybody knows you don't get mold unless you get water. And so that's how we have to treat it. Off to the subject I was talking about. When we see this in your unit, when we see this little spot that has to come out, we're going to mark it with a Sharpie. And right behind us, when we leave your unit, right when we leave it, his guys are going to cut that out. Bam, bam, bam. Cut it out, put it in a bag, take it and throw it out in the yard. And we're going to be able to, at that point, when we're done looking at all 8 units in it, we're going to have that team be able to tell us that we opened that up and we can see that the wall on the other side has a problem. And what it does for us is it allows us to not have to come back. Does that make sense? We can then see where other damage might be when they're cutting it right behind us. This doesn't typically happen, by the way. This is a dance that we're going to do. It's something we've decided to do on the front side. It makes it a little more complicated for us. And for you guys, his team is then going to come in behind that and put a piece of drywall in it and tape it up and what they call white box it so that it becomes a livable space. It doesn't have the mold on it. They have different chemicals and other things that they can spray on things, wipe things down. You guys, if you see mold on your wall, it's just surface mold. It's not. This is your house. This is where you live. Feel free to clean anything in your building inside. Someone told me yesterday, and I don't know who it was, that they were told not to touch anything, not to clean anything, not to move anything. I don't know where that came from, if it was him. But
thanks, Joel.
Yeah, you're welcome. But clean. Yeah,
You're welcome, boy.
Yeah. That beer case of beer I was going to give him is gone. Anyway, clean your unit. This is your house. You live there. Clean it. Do what you got to do. Wipe it down. Anything you got to do, okay? Take the pictures first. Clean it all up. Okay? Then you've got your evidence. If we come back and you say, yeah, this wall was really moldy, we're going to look at it and see if it's surface mold or if it's physical. Water on the back side, water that came down the front side, mold, and we'll take that out, okay? But a lot of what you might be seeing is just something you guys can clean up and get that odor and all that out of your unit. This is a big effort for all of us. So we thank you guys right now profusely for everything you're going to do to help us to help you. Because that's really what this is all about, is getting everybody back in the unit so we can go enjoy the beach and go fishing. I mean, that's really what this is all about. I don't know if I've answered all of your questions, but I think the most important one is going to be your relationship between your adjuster and what he's going to be able to help you with in your unit. If you've done a lot of remodeling, this is really an important thing for everybody to understand. What your adjuster really is going to, in the end, once he reads everything, be able to pay you guys. One thing I want to mention to everyone, if you have a severely damaged unit, if you have a unit that's just got moderate damage in it, and you know we're going to be coming through and we're going to have to cut a bunch of drywall out, you can see it. It's clear. It's not like this room where it's just a little piece that we have to cut out. If it's clear you're going to want to move your contents. Because we can't come in there and do what we have to do if your contents are still up against all the walls and right in front of everything that you can see is damaged. And these things don't belong to us. We can't legally touch them. We can't move anything. We can't legally touch it because it doesn't belong to us. So that's where the big help is going to come from us. You guys are probably going to see where we are in this process. You'll see teams walking in and out of A and B and C and D and all along that route. Okay? So you're not going to know when we're getting close to you. You're going to know where you are in that order. I just told you we're going to try to get this done in a certain amount of time. So you know that you is going to be done in probably the next 5 weeks, 4 to 5 weeks. We're hoping to scope it within 4, all of them within 4 weeks. Be done writing them and everything in 6. So if you have contents, it's in a room that you know we need to get in there and move some drywall. You can see it. It's really clear. It's not just a wipe it down kind of a situation and move on. Please go ahead and prepare for that kind of thing. Talk to your adjuster about it. Your insurance policy should, and I used to be a homeowner adjuster. I'm a commercial adjuster now, but I used to be a homeowner adjuster. And I've done both sides of this where I've been the guy telling you what is covered under your homeowner's policy, your HO6 in this case, is that you have pack-out coverage. Okay? If your unit is damaged and you can't live there, your policy will pay to remove your contents. It'll also pay to clean your contents. If the smell of mold, if water's come down in your unit, things have been touched by water, and you smell or see mold on your contents, they either replace them or they'll clean them. I can't give you all the advice about your insurance policy, but you have a lot of rights. Okay? You have a ton of rights as the person that paid that premium. And if your adjuster's giving you a line of hooey that you completely disagree with, you can always ask them to write it down and pull it out of your insurance policy and prove it to you. Okay? It says things. It means things. Everything in your policy says something and it means something. So, and I'm happy while we're walking around, I'm happy to help you guys and give you a short answer, but we are slammed busy and we're going to be running from building to building to building. If you can't get a good answer from your adjuster, if you can't get something, I'm happy to help, but that's really not my wheelhouse. I hope everybody understands that.
The more we stop him out here on the property, the longer it's going to take to do our job. And we're going to set up something where any questions you have, email it to Sandy, and she can email it back, and then we'll put all the answers online, because probably everybody's basically got close to the same questions. Everybody's got the same problem.
Exactly.
And you want to say something else? I'm going to let Bo say something, then we'll take questions from
This
Joel.
is Rolando with Belfour. He's the man who's going to do all the work in this unit.
My name is Rolando LaRosa, and I'm from San Antonio, Texas, and I'm part of the large loss team for Belfour. We're the largest restoration company in the world. We have the ability to deploy men, equipment, and we do it all over the world. The big thing that I want to do, and we've done, is to try to stabilize everything here, begin the cleaning process, and in our case, we always work with the adjuster. He's like the tower. Everything works in and through him on an airport. So we want to make sure that, and what we do is we make sure that we're working with our adjuster, Joel, and we're staying in line with what the insurance company is wanting us to do. As with Belfour, Joel was talking about the interior of your home. One of the hardest things to do is working inside of someone's house. That's your living space. It's a very emotional thing. Things are damaged. Now you got people coming in there. As Joel said, we're going to be looking at the severity. If you got ceilings that are totally wet, they may still be in place, but we have to open them up and all that insulation come in. That's going to be a high severity requiring a pack out or moving your contents. If it's a small little square, little area here, our men will move it, maybe the contents over just a little, cover it up, and we will protect your floor. We will do that. But on some of the big things, we're going to have to open it up, and we're going to have to dry it. So that means that you may find there'll be 3 or 4 fans in your house, a dehumidizer. What happens is this equipment can get loud, it can get hot, and it's designed to do that, to remove the water or the moisture from the materials. We can talk about that as we get into your units. Generally, we did some hurricane work a couple years ago, and I'm in a unit, a hotel, where it's water damaged. I shut that equipment off every night so I could actually sleep. But we'll talk about that as we get into your unit. Everything that's wet will have what's called a microban material that's put on. We spray it on everything. It's a preventative. Listen, mold needs a water source. Everything we do out here, we're breathing mold every day. When mold becomes dangerous is when it's in a confined space and you get a lot of it. Our building codes are making our homes tighter and tighter. If you notice over the last 5 years, it's getting a little looser and looser. They want more air exchange in their houses. And that's the reason. Confined space, a lot of mold can create problems. You just got to get it out. What we want to do is work with you, make this as easy as possible. And the people that are going to be coming through your home will have an adjuster, will have our lead water techs. They're going to be evaluating, moving to the next. Our technicians behind will begin to put the equipment in, dry it. We'll be logging moistures, working with Joel to make sure all of the questions, the pictures, and the things that we need to justify what we're doing is done. Then on the back side of that, we're going to come back in, put the drywall, insulation drywall, and then we're going to take the float and seal that. Now we're going to talk a little bit later about the rest of the units. Some of you are going to have total unit loss, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. We're going to be working on the exterior of the buildings to move on these roofs just as quickly as possible. We're working on that. We've got a team out of Dallas that's ready to deploy with equipment and manpower. And so we're working this. Again, we're cleaning. We're going to get the trees together. We've got men in the pool now. So hopefully here real soon we'll have things back to order as quickly as possible. Feel free at any point to reach out to me. My job is to help you and help the association. And there's no easy way of anything. So if there's something I can immediately do, I will. If it's something that we need to get in the system, we're going to work that system. That makes it easy for everyone, and we can expedite it quickly. One question for Joel I was thinking about, Joel, you might want to answer them, is what we see as a severity. Your adjuster may not see that same severity. So if we see it's a severity of 5, we need you to pack out. What should they do if their adjuster says, we don't see that, you don't need to pack out?
It's what I told you guys earlier about your rights, that you guys have rights. And you have to talk to your adjuster and just tell him that the people that own this building have told us that the space that they own is a severely damaged space, whether you like it or not, and my insurance policy needs to pay to pack that out. Yet some of you guys are going to have the guy that comes out and he's just a happy-go-lucky. Yep, I'm going to take care of you guys no matter what, and he's going to write everything and take care of you. It sounds like yours is. Some of you guys are going to have that guy that he just hates being here. I mean, people are people, right? What's that? Amen. Yeah, people are people. So, yeah, you guys are going to have to really just work with your adjuster, and hopefully he's a good guy. And I'd love to sit here and say, give him my number. I'll talk to him. No worries. But my phone would ring till 3 o'clock in the morning, and I frankly, like I said, it's not my wheelhouse. This place right here is my job. The buildings are my job. So you guys will need to fight for your contents. You'll need to fight for what you guys believe your policy should cover. Again, they can tell you. It's in writing. You guys can read your policy.
About the contents, because I only partly heard you're saying there's no.
I know.
You're not covering any of the contents.
Yeah, this policy does not cover anything that belongs to you.
How do you get out of not paying the contents?
You have to get with your insurance.
It's not about
We can argue
getting
about
out
this all
of
day. Just
not
get your
paying
insurance
contents.
company, we'll go from there. I mean, we're here trying to help.
Don't just throw your hand. You need to answer questions.
No. Hold on. I'll answer it for you. It's a simple question. When you bought this unit, you also, in your documents, it says that you are required to have your own insurance. Everybody here, an HO6 policy. There's a requirement. That HO6 policy covers your contents.
Right.
And the reason is because these guys, this place does not have the capability of buying you a vase or a TV or something that is in your unit. We don't know what it is. And it's been like that since the beginning of time. That what's in your unit, what you guys buy, it is yours. And in this case, there's a requirement that it be yours.
Right. And eventually that, whether it's argued or not, you're not going to cover the contents. Even if
Never.
there's no doubt.
Under no circumstances, period.
And then any upgrades, correct?
Correct. Well, no. We just talked about upgrades.
Okay.
Upgrades in your unit. I remember I told you that from 1996, I owe what was here in 1996. So if there's carpet in your unit, then I'm going to pay you carpet. If there's tile in your unit, then I'm going to pay you for carpet. And your adjuster is going to pay you the difference between carpet and tile.
Right. And then one other thing, any of the other damage that's exposed, like on the unit that my daughter owns, there's termite damage in the floors.
That's a whole different animal.
But it's exposed, it's got to be repaired, it needs to be patched.
We understand, and here's the way that works for us. It's not something that you guys need to get in the weeds about because it's the building. Okay, your concern, everybody in this room's concern, their only concern are your contents and what the difference between carpet and tile. By the way, by carpet and tile, I mean anything. Okay, I mean if you guys upgraded anything, it'd be the difference between what that is and in 1996 and now. Okay, so you're talking about termite damage. That's something we have to deal with because we obviously can't put siding back on something that we can't nail to. So we'll have to fix that, and it'll get fixed. But it's not something you guys need to worry about. It's building.
And
Everything building is ours.
the only other question I have, everybody mentions, don't mention the mold, because there's no way that.
It's not about mentioning it. It's just that we can't cover it.
Right, but if you're starting at A, and you're ending up at Q, and the people that are in Q, they have no mobility, we're having our own people try it out right now, we're to that point, some people can't afford to do that or haven't gotten to that point.
Let me go into another part of the homeowner policy. Again, that's it's really not my wheelhouse. Your adjuster should be telling you these things, but I'll make it clear for everybody. Your contents are your contents. Your policy covers for you to protect your contents, to dry them, to keep them safe, to clean them, whatever it is. So if you have a fan in your unit and it's technically there to dry the building or whatever it is you're trying to dry, your policy should still cover it because you're protecting your contents. Okay? If your stuff is in an environment where there's mold and other things like that, clean it. We talked about that right at the beginning. Clean it. Keep it clean. Do what you got to do to protect your contents. Your policy should pay you to protect your contents. Everybody in this room. Okay?
Let's just say there's no contents in there, there's still mold, and I'm talking about the quality of life until you actually get to that unit. Is that you're putting that responsibility on the owner?
Well, you guys are responsible for your own things. We all, as adults, we all know that we're all responsible for our own things. So if your unit's not livable, again, you need to look at your policy, talk to your adjuster, and he's going to do what they did for these folks. And that is the same thing you do for all of you if you have the same policy. And that is there's additional living expense on your policy that pays to put you in another unit, put you in a hotel, someplace if your unit's not livable.
And there's no liability as far as the HOA.
This is not about. There's no liability in this issue here whatsoever. This is all about policy. There's a difference between liability and policy, just so everybody knows. A policy is something we all bought. It has language in it. It says something, and that what it says in it, it means something.
It may not to you, but it will be in the argument between our personal insurance and use. Eventually, it becomes liability.
Hopefully, there's no argument. because and I mean that
That'd be sweet.
with all honesty, and I mean that, guys. So long as you've listened here today, and you go to your adjuster, and you tell him the building is owned by the HOA, and everything in it that was here in 1996 is owned by the HOA. The only thing I own is the tile floor, the difference between the tile floor and carpet, the difference between my marble countertops and laminate countertops. That's the only thing that I own. So you tell your adjuster that. Everybody here that's here today knows it. We've talked about it. And so there shouldn't be any argument because he can read and he can see the same thing that we can see. And so everybody here, inform your adjuster, let him know, give him the documents that he needs, tell him this is what I own, this is what they own, this is what you need to pay for, and these are my rights. I can't really go into the weeds, guys, about your policy because I haven't seen your policy. You may have bought one that's a downgraded policy. You may have bought one that's an upgraded policy. I don't know. We're going to open this to questions in about 2 seconds, okay, guys? But I hope that answers everyone's question that you guys all have rights. You all are adults. You all need to fight for what is yours. And what's that?
Be our own advocate.
Exactly. Be your own advocate and understand from this meeting today what it is that we're asking you to do to help us. We need those documents from your unit. If you don't have to do it today. Okay? There'll be a little box up here for you to put it in. But go back to your unit, write down the unit number, your name, your phone number, put all the information you want on it, anything you want on it, and then go from room to room, tell us what it is. And that'll help us understand severity so we can get to you this as soon as we can, all right? And we appreciate you being really honest with us about that too, if it's livable and not livable. Because if everybody in here says, it's unlivable, we're in trouble. Because that means that 168 units are unlivable, and we know that's not true. All right? So it complicates things. But let's go ahead. We'll open this up to questions. She was the first one I saw with a hand up, ma'am.
How about the air conditioning unit?
What's that?
The air conditioning unit?
I have not seen anything on the policy that says you own an AC unit or we own it. I don't know that. Do you know who owns it? If that's the case, I've already written on my sheet. It may come off, but I've already written on it to replace AC units that are damaged, destroyed, that need to be cleaned of debris and everything else. So there's going to be a lot of AC units that are going to be through. These guys, I don't know if we can do that or not. If we've got an AC contractor that we can bring in to go unit to unit and start doing it.
Yeah.
Do we have somebody?
We don't have no one local.
We don't have anybody local. So answer to your question, if your AC unit's not working, this is always the dance. This is the dance we talked about, right? Me personally, if I had a unit where I don't have any AC unit and I need it and I can find somebody to come out and do it, I'm going to take a picture of my AC unit that services my building. I'm going to keep that and I'm going to write on a note and stick it in a box up here that'll be up here every day while we're here. That my AC unit is not working in my unit. I understand you guys are busy, but I got to do what I got to do. Okay? So,
We've had electricians working through that did a full inspection yesterday. Some of the AC units, the breakers were disconnected. We have live wires, so they're repairing and doing some of that right now. They did at the entrance back here in the back. They did 3 buildings yesterday, and they did a full inspection. Supposed to get a report today. So some of them may be not working because the disconnect is tripped. So we'll look at that. If I would think, is everyone got AC?
Some of the units have got the.
Okay.
have you looked at your unit?
Yes.
Is it damaged?
Well, the disconnect was separated, but I put it back together,
Right?
and it still won't work. The gable, we're in the T building right here, the gable come off and hit the unit.
Yeah, then you probably got it.
And this dinged and banged up, the one beside it is totally destroyed.
I saw that yesterday. I think I wrote to replace those units right there because of the fact that they were hit and they've got holes punched through them and other issues.
But it's, it's been dinged.
Yeah. The answer to the question, guys, is that we're going to get to it as soon as we can. It might be an electrical issue. He's got a guy assessing every building, assessing. So if you have an AC issue, it's another thing that you either let him know, because that's a quality of life thing,
Yeah, absolutely.
right? It's not even a matter of mold. It's a quality of life that we have to have it. So that'll be one of the things that we'll address right away.
I don't see doing a lot to my unit because the roof is gone. Until that can be replaced or fixed.
And we'll talk about that in a second. Hang on, she's had her hand up, Elma.
Yeah, can you tell me if you have any knowledge right now of the units that are going to be demolished?
We don't. Again, that's going to be to you guys and telling us the severity of your unit, because we don't know yet.
Well, we've already discussed T2, is, right over here next to the pool. And
Right.
somebody said that they're gonna demolish it, and somebody says no, so we need to know whether you're demolishing it or not demolishing it.
Yeah, like I said, the
It's
doc.
the tack out.
Put that up here so that we know. And he's probably already heard from you about some of your units, right? You guys have probably already talked to him about it, about the severity of it. But again, this is a dance, guys, that we're going to do our very, very best. So we hope that everybody here just maintains all civility. Come to us, talk to us. No yelling, screaming, writing civil commotion, those kind of things. It's not covered under your policy anyway. By the way, isn't that terrible that riot and civil commotion isn't covered? Most of these people in this country that had their buildings burned, they're not covered, believe it or not. Anyway, so don't burn your building out of anger and what you got, because it's not covered.
A little bit different scenario for us. First of all, we're so blessed. We're blessed in our unit, but we did have some damage. But right after the storm passed, I got up in the attic, removed all the wet insulation, treated whatever was wet so it would not mold. But our unit is under contract to be sold, and the buyer wants to move forward, but he wants to have a home inspection done, and so.
That's down in the weeds, brother, man. That's so far outside of our realm. I wish I could tell you. That's a private conversation that you'll have to have with your HOA president, probably at a later date. But right now, we can't give any assurance of anything for what you're asking.
Well, my question a little bit further was that I've already did most of our repairs. I replaced the floors, I've treated for mold.
Did you take photographs and keep all your receipts?
Yes, sir.
Then we'll work with you on that when we get to that unit, okay? We'll work with you guys on the cost.
Well, that'd be good, but I'm more concerned about the buyer as much as I am myself.
And we understand that. Again, that's way outside of what we're talking about today. The only thing I'm concerned about is the cost of things and rebuilding them. I wish I could give you a better answer than that, but that's way outside of the weeds for what we can do.
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you, but I've got to fix and pray for you. Second question.
I would just tell them that my unit's been repaired. It's in good shape. All the other ones are going to be like brand new at the end of this whole thing. You're going to be living in an awesome community when this is done. That's what I'd tell them. Look, guys, and this is the honest to God truth about this too. At the end of a hurricane, everything is better. I mean, it just is. Your building's going to be brand spanking new. Roof's going to be new. Pool might even get relined. Who knows? But these kind of things are really good for your property value because everything becomes new again. It's a pain in the yin-yang for a year to get it all done, but at the end of it, your property values are going to go up, and so on and so forth. Okay, we have things that we have to deal with here, codes and all kinds of things that we have to deal with. But when it comes to things like the sale of your unit, you're right in the middle of it. It's just terrible timing, and you just have to tell your buyer that, hey, come on, the unit is now repaired. It's in great shape. This whole complex is going to be brand spanking new at the end of this. If you got to bail, you got to bail. If you're not, I'm going to sell it to the next guy for $20,000 more than what I was going to sell it to you for, because it'll be worth it. About what, sir?
Our vehicles and the shingle damage.
No coverage at all, guys. You have to have your own insurance policies for that. Yeah, it'd be the same as hail. Your policies for all your personal vehicles covers debris strikes and stuff like that. It's falling objects is what they call it. It's wind damage.
Our adjuster called, and because we had wind exclusion that we didn't know we had.
Right. Okay, guys, that's another thing I'll tell you, and then I'll take a few more questions. Everybody's telling me that Remember I told you earlier that some of you have opted for different policies? His policy doesn't cover wind. It was taken out of it. It's a common thing now because wind is such you know it's going to happen. Why would any insurer insure you for something they know is going to happen? And so a lot of these policies exclude it right from the very beginning, and you got to buy it. So if you don't have that coverage, obviously you need to get it. And when you buy a policy, and again, I'm down in the weeds with you guys on this, but make sure you're covered for wind. Somebody right here was trying to get me.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
You're welcome, guys. Good luck to y'all.
Joel, we live here 24/7, 365. This is our home year round. And like you said, we lost everything inside. Furniture, clothing, everything. And obviously everything is black. The ceilings, walls, and everything. You said if you can secure a private contractor, we can do it. We can secure a private contractor. Can we start ripping walls out now then?
Again, we'd love to get in there and take a look at it. This severity thing that you're going to give us will allow us to look at it and to go to that unit. And remember I told you we're going to put together a team of guys that are just going to go to the fives. Somebody here is over here and you. I think the lady back here in the back.
So I should tell them to wait to rip everything out then?
Yeah, at this point, I mean, think about it. If your unit's a total loss and all your stuff in it's a total loss, it is what it is. And so don't take that chance on not being able to get it covered by your policy, your adjuster, and by us. You know, let somebody look at it first. Once everybody's come through our guys, your guys, then you can do what you want to. If you want to help us gut it out, I really prefer you didn't. And the reason is the liability of that. And he's probably going to tell you more about that, I would imagine, in days. But you're tearing... I always put this in ours and yours, but you guys understand what I mean. The HOA owns a building, and you're tearing down drywall, and a piece of it falls on you with all the nails and cuts your face and pokes your eye. You're going to sue these guys. Okay? So you're really not allowed... Like, we're not allowed to touch your contents. You're really not allowed to touch our drywall. Does that make sense? Okay. Sir?
This insulation, that's stuff dangerous.
The installation, no.
We right at the present time, there is a hazmat team on property that's going to every unit, every building, and checking 3 units per building to see if there's any hazard material.
My understanding is that this building was built in 1996. In 1996, asbestos was already a thing. And so the stuff that you're seeing out in the yard, bye ladies, the stuff you're seeing out in your yards and the stuff in the attic is not stuff that has asbestos in it. Unless they got it from somebody who was storing it from 1965.
It is fiberglass, is it not?
Yes, it's a fiberglass.
What about breathing it? Because I worked in it knee deep all day yesterday.
If you have total exposure and you're looking at it, I mean, we all should be wearing coronavirus masks anyway. You probably got them. I'd wear a mask while you're doing that, okay? But I don't think I'd worry about asbestos, sir.
Yes, so first of all, I do appreciate everything about it, John. Sam, you coordinate with us and stuff in all sides, so we appreciate that a lot. I've got a couple questions right now. I just want to ask very specifically. So you said, I understand about the upgrades. Being as a builder, what do you consider as part of the original thing? I mean, the appliances specifically, and then maybe like a ceiling fan and stuff like that. What is that considered as part of the original building?
It is an interesting thing because the last time I worked in this state was Hurricane Ivan. And so you guys know that was in 2004, right? So 16 years I haven't done a hurricane in this state. But I looked at this policy and I don't see a distinction. I don't know why, but it doesn't say anything about you guys owning your refrigerators or you guys owning your stoves or dishwashers or any of that. So it looks like because this was originally an apartment, these were apartments, and that's the way they wrote these, that in 1996, there were stoves, refrigerators, and all that in the units.
Will that be something maybe Sam eventually, if he thought you
Well, if you missed the way he answered that, the way I'm taking the way he answered that, the HOAs will pay for the stove and refrigerator.
Okay, that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, if it was here in 1996, I don't see any distinction. It doesn't say that the homeowner owns this. Now, here's the difference. If you put a new one in and it's
Well,
upgraded,
that's the next question. If you don't mind following up that real quick. At what point, I mean, I know y'all get ready, y'all get it all cleaned up, and we're ready to start putting refrigerator stuff back in. Will they coordinate with us and, hey, we're getting ready to put this stuff in, do you want to go ahead and pay for the upgrades now? Or how do we handle that process of getting the upgrade at that point?
yeah, that's the dance I'm talking about. I'll give you guys an example of how that technically should
I'm not so much worried about the money, I'm worried about just making sure that we get coordinated, have that option, we want to put down tile, tile or something beside that y'all are putting in?
Well, that's again getting down in the weeds for us, because my job is to provide the funds for it. It's going to be ultimately your responsibility for your part of it. So let's just say
a question that's going right next to it. So once you decide what is replaceable and all this stuff, are you saying you're cutting us a check to get our own contractor to do it, or y'all guys come in and do it?
we talked about that earlier about giving the 50% up front if you decide to have your own contractor, and that's a document you'll have to sign. We talked about that. And so, yes, you guys could get your own contractor, and it might help speed things along for all of you if you can find that guy.
I'm not saying that. I was trying to figure out if y'all do it. I just want to know what point. You get ready to put the countertops on. Instead of you put the mic on, I prefer granite. I want to make sure so I can bring you a check or whatever the difference is.
Yeah.
To upgrade at that point in time.
What'll
That's
happen?
what I'm trying to figure out.
What'll happen is that if it's a full gut like this one here, then the contractor is responsible in coordinating all the interior, the drywall during that phase that we'll be talking about. Because even when it's dry and everything is clean, that's when you got to start ordering cabinets immediately.
Okay.
It takes 30 days to 45 days.
Or more.
Maybe a little longer being here.
So they'll work with homeowners. Hey, this is what we will pay.
The contractor is responsible for
Guys,
order selects and everything and getting that coordinated and helping you coordinate that.
We're going to have a detailed estimate for every unit in this complex, your unit. We're going to have one for every one of them. And at the end of it, that's how we're going to know what we're going to do in that unit, right? And that'll be available at some point for all of you guys.
I got just a couple more real quick. We got our adjuster tomorrow. He's going to look at everything. After that, we want to bring and take all our content, like our bed, whatever we're going to salvage, and put in a storage bin. At that point, so y'all guys come in and do whatever y'all need to do. Is that okay?
Yeah, we talked about this earlier. These are your contents. You guys do, they're your responsibility. Your policy should pay for these things, okay? I want to explain to you guys something, and I'll try to make this brief. In 2004, I did almost every one of those giant condominiums you guys see down on the beach. All of them. And I had teams of guys that were doing these things. And this is what happened when we gave the money to people to pay for it. They took that money, they walked away from their loans, and they walked away. And so now we had a damaged unit in a building that was no longer owned by anybody but the bank. Okay, so they changed things to where the bank now, if you have a mortgage on your house and mortgage on your unit, you won't get the money anyway. The money goes to your what you call it before that. That's another complication that we'll all talk about at the end of this. But it's the reason why these guys or a contractor is going to be the best way to go for all of us here to get somebody, and we get an agreement, we sign it, they understand how much we can pay. You guys understand how much we can pay at some point. Once our estimates are written again, remember how much time I need. I need 6 weeks. Okay? In the meantime, you guys do what you need to do to make it livable. Let us know if you're a 5 or a 4 that we got to come in and help you. If you can't live there, your policy pays to put you someplace else. That's the way it works.
One last question that I have is, we obviously see the water damage on the ceiling and stuff like that, but we really don't know what's behind the walls. Do y'all have equipment that's going to go in and
Yeah, he talked about that earlier as well. We're going to open the walls. He's going to dry it and spray it. We talked about all that.
And the insulation that maybe was damaged inside the wall and stuff, they can pick up that with water damage or get stuff like that with equipment.
But
Yeah.
if it's water damaged, it's coming out.
Okay, I just
And
want to
then we're
verify
gonna,
that.
and then we're gonna drive the
Because there's a lot you
framing.
can't see in the wall, so I want to make sure that insulated was damaged.
They'll have the trucks here this weekend or no later than Monday, correct?
We got a semi, it's a mobile warehouse full of equipment that's coming in, possible second, but I believe we'll be able to move fast enough to rotate that equipment. But if it's wet, it's coming out. Whatever's framing is wet inside of there, it's going to be dried. Once it's dried, moisture readings will be taken, photographed, documented for the insurance, and then we'll put insulation in and be covered. The problem is when you get into the attic, if you got all your ceilings are damaged, everything is wet, that's going to be a full pack out. Number 5, it's all got to come down.
Need to plan on it right away.
You got to plan on it. So if you got a lot of damage in your ceilings and you got water in your light fixtures, you can count it's a number 5, and you're going to have to begin the process with your insurance adjuster to get it back.
I think we have about 10 units like that.
And then what will happen is all that will come out, and then we'll go through the process. But some of you may not have a total 5 in your ceilings, but you see all of the insulation's been sucked out into the yard. All of that's got to be replaced.
And we're going to do that. We're already in place for that, sir.
Thank you for the discussion on the ceiling. Let's talk about floors for a minute. I'm on the second floor, and I noticed that the quick-creek seems to absorb a lot of water, and there's a subfloor underneath it, wafer board or something. Do you expect those to dry out?
What we look at, yes, they will dry out. Here's the thing, and when we put fans and DUs on it, what we look at it at, is it cracked up, and is it to a point where we can't put another floor on top of it? In this case, going back to 96, it's a vinyl floor. You couldn't put a vinyl floor on that mess up. So the ones that I've seen in your apartment, specifically, some of the areas I didn't see, but you're looking for a lot of cracking. It's peeled, it's coming up. If there's a small spot that's open, that area can be filled in with no problem. Generally, when we have to remove it on a large scale is when we have a fire department's been in there, floods everything down, then a lot of times those will have to come out.
Does anybody have vinyl flooring in their units?
By the way, vinyl flooring, you do? A good answer to what he was talking about is that if your subfloor is damaged, we're going to fix it. I mean, that's just the way it is. If it's wet right now, we're going to try to dry it. If we can't, we're going to fix it. Either replace it, redo it, whatever it is. So
We're drying our unit now, before we're gonna get it dry, and then make sure your equipment comes in. Is that reimbursable? Is that something you're?
under your policy, if you're doing it yourself, you talk to your adjuster about paying you for your fans, your electricity.
So none of that, even though you're gonna come in and dry, if we're doing it right now, none of that is gonna be reimbursed by your adjuster.
Well, that's it adds another layer of complication to this. And what I said earlier is that if you're protecting your contents, no, I understand. But your question was, would you get compensated for it? And the answer is, your policy should pay for it. And I understand you may or may not have one.
No, I have a policy. I'm saying, you're telling me that you're gonna bring in equipment and dry these units.
Yes.
In the meantime, you're also telling the unit owners, hey, if you feel like you can dry out, dry out.
Yes.
Some can, some can't. I don't know who is, who isn't. We are. How does that not overlap? And how?
It does. It does overlap. And I'll say this one more time. Your contents are yours. You're protected. Hold on. No, sir. You just asked a question.
If I have no furniture, let's assume that I want to move everything out.
Then you don't need to have fans in there. Now, if you've already taken everything out and you're just trying to dry the building, it's your unit. If you want to do it, you can. But there's not a mechanism for us to have 3 or 4 people that want to get paid for fans when we're going to come in and do it. There's just not a mechanism for it.
And the insurance company, if we own it, then the insurance company may not reimburse you for that if you're drying the building. If you're trying to dry your contents, that's different.
That's different.
You might want to make sure how you handle that one, because they'll come right back and say, we're not going to reimburse you. And also be careful. If you're hiring local companies and others that are coming in, they're jacking prices up. I'm hearing some things that are going on. It's not a problem to get with the state of Alabama and say, hey, Attorney General, I think I'm getting my eyes poked out here on something. Because it happens. We see it a lot. So just be very careful with that.
I got a couple more questions real quick. So we can get him out here and let him do his job. Anybody got anything else?
Yes. You were talking about cutting out the walls where you see damage. Is that going to be included for the floors? We have wood flooring, and we do have a couple of spots that are buckled up real bad. So are you going to be taking out the flooring?
We'll try to dry it first, and if it's fixable, we'll fix it, sand it, and redo the floor. But keep in mind, if it's got a wood floor in it, that means it's an upgrade.
And I just fear
Okay.
if there's water under more flooring.
Yeah, if the water's underneath it, we'll try to dry it. If it doesn't work and they find out, then we go to the next step. We replace it, sections of it if we have to, if we can, if not, the whole floor. But the difference again is going to be carpet to.
Go ahead back here. I got one more question back here. This lady does.
Yes, ma'am.
The roof is off part of our condo, and the tarps were not secured yesterday, but it got rained in on again.
Right.
Later in the afternoon, the guy secured the tarp. But that floor, we're on the second floor
Right.
I mean, wet.
That'll be the 5 we're talking about. Okay.
Well, what my question is, do we need to remove that carpet, or will that be something?
If you have the ability to get it out of there, you maybe. But again, it's
They're not living in it.
You're not living in it?
Don't even mess with it.
So
Okay. Don't mess with it if you're not living in it.
one of the things to remember is with the tarps, it is just a temporary cover to keep a lot of water from coming in your house. It doesn't mean it's not going to get in there. Okay. Every time we tarp, something's going to get in. You get a lot of hard rain. Like the other day, you're going to see some that happens. So just bear with us. We're working to get these roofs replaced as quickly as possible.
If you see a tarp blown up, let us know, and we'll come back and we'll fix it. Okay. Or if you do have a leak, you just really do need to let us know. We'll try to find out why.
Go ahead, sir.
Well, I think, but on this, trying to discern what was installed in '96 and what has been improved, are things like shelving in closets and all that?
No, that's going to be a typical thing. If you've got upgraded and put some like closet rods and stuff like that, we're going to put it back like it is. I mean, that's we're mainly talking about if you've installed expensive Donald Trump type floors, on your place. We can't put Donald Trump type floors back in there. So same thing with gold laced stuff.
That's good.
If you got mold on your floors, the ceilings, or whatever, how is that livable?
But this is what I'm talking about. If you guys can,
How you going to clean it? How's it going to be approved for you to live in it? Who's going to say that it's okay? You cleaned it, but they're saying that the mold's not still happening.
well, we talked about this too. Is if you can't live in there, your insurance policy pays for you to live somewhere else, and you have to talk to your adjuster about that.
Another thing, what about the ductwork in the AC?
The ductwork in the AC, we're going to find some of them that might have water in them and might have that problem, and it's going to be something we either have to clean or replace those ducts as we get to them.
While running the AC, while you got mold in it, when you spread the mold?
It very well could.
The inside of the AC ductwork does not have a material that mold will grow on, generally it's plastic, unless it's
just
saturated wet. But that's why it's important to keep your AC running, so that it's removing. And believe it or not, it does exchange and remove moisture in the air. It should be somewhere around 45.
Air conditioning is a desiccant, correct? It's a desiccant. It pulls that stuff out. So the more you run your AC, the harder you run your AC, the more it's going to be pulling a lot of this moisture out of you.
Pull the moisture out, the moisture's going to go somewhere.
But if there's any ductwork in the attic and units that are total ducts that are wet, in a lot of cases, that ductwork or those plenums have to be replaced because it's a fiber board that has to be replaced.
Guys, any other questions? Ma'am?
All my windows and my French doors were glass was all blown out. I already ordered windows and doors. Do I need
We
to
talked about that,
cancel
yes, I would cancel that.
Cancel that?
Yes, ma'am.
Cancel.
I'm sorry.
It's okay, I can cancel.
This may help us all, okay? This may help everybody. You cancel them because there's a good chance we're going to get new windows in the doors.
Guys, I hired an engineer, and he's going to be here, and he's going to be assessing structural items after a hurricane. And I'm finding the same thing. I'm finding a lot of windows have been pushed in. They broke the clips that hold them into place. They popped in your unit, whatever it is. And most likely, the majority of windows, if not all of them, are going to get replaced in here with I can't say that for sure, guys, obviously, because I don't have an engineer report yet. But that's my hope for you guys, is that once again, at the end of this, you have a brand new complex with brand new, up-to-date, hurricane-rated windows. That's my hope for you. Okay? But yeah, if you're doing something like that, remember the building belongs to these guys.
And anybody got any more questions? A quick question, we got to go.
About the money, the deductible for this.
You're responsible for your deductible and your unit, and
You
we've
talking
got a
about for
monster one
HOA
here.
or your units?
No, talking about HOA.
Our insurance policy is 2% of whatever it takes to fix it.
It's a big deductible. It's a
So if it's
lot.
$5 million, it's $200,000.
Divided by all the owners? Or-
Buy every unit together. 2% of whatever the total cost is to fix it. That's our policy.
Sam, do we have a time frame as far as like when the siding will be back in?
Man, that's probably going to be.
Do what?
It's probably going to be. It's roof first, then it's buttoning the outside of the building up. So as soon as you see the roofs all going on and all that kind of stuff, they're trying to find somebody to do the siding. But again, we have to get the authority with my report to pay for it. There's a bunch of guys that sit over in London right now, and they're drinking tea and eating crumpets, right? Because this policy is Lloyd's of London. I've been there. Hang on one second. And so we have to get authority for all of what we're talking about before we can say go, really go. Sir?
When you redo the roofs, is there a possibility you're gonna chop those chimneys off?
Absolutely. It's cheaper to replace, to do away with it. We've already talked about this. They gotta go back to code. The code is 3 pipes, we got 1 pipe. Some of them been sucked totally out, and the big picture for them to replace it is to knock it down and put plywood. We're gonna do that.
Right?
I'm in R3. So
Hang on, folks.
I'm in R3 and I have very, very little. My only question is, there are some spots from water in the ceiling, very minimal again. I don't see any mold. Is there a possibility that they'll just come in there and cut that out and just paint it?
Kill it, put kills on it or something like that.
First thing we'd want to do is get in the attic and get that little bit of insulation out of there.
Sure, it's up there.
And then if it can be dried, we'll dry it in place if it can. But if again, the adjuster says cut it, we're going to cut it.
Typically, if you see a little spot like this on the back side of the drywall, it's like this. And if it's out there in the environment where there's no air conditioning, it's probably green and yellow and orange and all kinds of other colors. So
Now, when we were going to have our adjuster come out, we canceled because we were told not to have an adjuster come out.
I don't know who told you that.
no.
That's one of the emails that we got.
If you don't need the adjuster, if there's no damage to your contents, the things that you own,
Then, but don't worry about it.
Right.
yeah. Okay?
This is the last question, guys.
Okay, if I got mold and all and not clean it up, who's gonna say it's a livable area?
You are. I mean, you're going to say whether or not you can.
2 years from now, I get sick from the mold.
No. Hold on. What we're talking about is you just making it livable so you can stay there now. That doesn't mean that we're not going to come in and fix that. So
I understand that.
take your pictures, let us know what your damage is, and then go ahead and clean what you can and make it livable. And then we'll replace it if we have
I
to.
live in there for 2 months until my name gets, my name's on it, I'm ready to come in and do your construction and build it. Who's gonna say that while I'm living there, that mold's not growing it out?
If you're not comfortable with that, you tell your adjuster that I need another place to live. And you got to work that out with him. But what I'm telling everybody here is that if you can wipe it down or clean it and do whatever you have to so that you have a livable space, keep it like that until we can get there and fix it.
Who's saying it's living is what I'm getting?
You. Only you. You're the adult in the room, so.
Okay, let's go. One thing we got here. Today, we're hoping to block this back entrance. This will be today or tomorrow.
We got it here, and so what we're going to do is we got 3 barricades. We're going to have in the afternoon. We're going to close it off. It'll still fire department or anything emergency can get through there with no problem. It ain't going to be chained, but we don't want any through traffic. And that's where our biggest
Next week, there'll be a bunch of people coming in here, correct?
Yes, sir.
By the way, when is the sweeper coming?
We wanted to get all of the debris off the road, and then we're going to sweep it.
Just so everybody knows, for nails and stuff like that, that's a primary thing for all of us. We've got a sweeper coming in. I'm sorry, ma'am.
I was in the classroom for 35 years. I'm all about organization and structure. We were in building T that the roof came off, and in their situation, they lost everything. So the order started with A and going through. So do we wait until you do that process, like if you determine that, say, our building, I don't know, any building.
I can answer that.
Okay.
Yeah.
See where I'm going with
There
this?
will be a bunch of people in here, and as soon as they get done with a building, and he gets them to agree on the numbers, he will have immediately, there could be 5 different buildings being worked on at one time. It ain't gonna be, he's not gonna wait, do this building and do this building. I mean, they wanna go, of course, Rondo and I have talked, he wants to go to the worst buildings first, but we gotta get the structural engineer in here and get all that kind of stuff done. And
Yeah, I'll give you another piece of this too, guys, is that our primary thing is to dry a building in. That's our primary goal. And so we've already gone outside of the state to get a roofing company to come and help him. Because his normal roofing crew is on one of his other things with one of his other guys. So we're having to bring shingles and everything in from out of state to dry your building in. Your building has truss damage on it. Okay, we can't touch that area until an engineer says we can finish it. But what we can do is do all of the roof up to it. Okay, we can finish everything, strip it down and replace the roof and then stop at a certain point. And then we'll have to keep that in the way it is, covered until we get structural approval from the state of Alabama and city inspectors and everything else to put the trusses back. They may require that we go through the whole attic and put hurricane clips. I mean, there's all kinds of crap that we down the weeds, okay, guys?
That's understandable, we're just smart.
It's terrible. I know, guys. And I wish I had a better answer, but for now, if you can't live in it.
Hey guys, we need to get Joel back to work. Hey, thanks everybody. If you got any questions,
Don't forget your papers. What's that?
On that insurance, I'm gonna turn that off first.
I have my paper.
You're awesome. I need more of you. Awesome.
I've got my contact. Okay.
Hang on one second. He was going to ask me something. What you got, brother?
Try and turn that on.